In this video, we're going to cover how to build email and call drip campaigns in Wealthbox. The features we'll be using in this video will allow you to seamlessly integrate personalized follow-ups into your workflow, ensuring consistent and timely communication with prospects and clients. To get started, let's head over to the workflows section and we'll create a brand new workflow template. Let's call this our new prospect email campaign. Let's add a couple of steps. Our first step here is going to be prospect verification. This will allow us to access some information on that contact to ensure that we have everything that we need. Let's go ahead and save that step and let's add the first part of our outreach, which is going to be the first phone attempt. This is going to be that same day. Let's go ahead and save that step. And then we'll go ahead and send our first email. And that will be 2 weekdays after. So now where we start actually incorporating some of the drip campaign capabilities will be with these actions, the lightning bolt icon to the right of the individual steps. So for prospect verification, I would add something like with the contact details, I would add some basic details just to confirm on the client. Let's make sure that we have that email address. Let's make sure that we have that phone number. We could add in their other details like their name and bring that up to the top. Essentially, what you're looking for is the most important information that you will need when you are starting to reach out. So let's go ahead and add that label here. Now for our first phone attempt, we'll use a couple of different actions. So primarily, we are wanting to double check that information, make sure that we have that in front of us as we're on the phone. So I want to include that name again, just to make sure that I'm addressing them properly. I want to also include something like their investment profile in here. So let's include that and maybe some additional details that I might have entered into the background information. So let's add in that verify details action and let's add another action to actually place that call. This is a very straightforward action that'll give you access to the click to call feature, allowing you to choose which phone number you would like to call, and then that would essentially initiate that call for you. Let's label that as call prospect. Now we could move on to that email attempt. Now, as we're emailing the individual, there's not really much that we would need to verify here, but what we could do is we could incorporate the email contact action and manually build out what we want that action to show. So let's say for the subject, we'll write in follow up from our last meeting, and I'll go ahead and enter in their name with some of the dynamic mail merge fields available. Let's go ahead and say, did you have any other follow-up questions since we last met? Let's go ahead and plug in our signature, label that with email prospect, and go ahead and save that action. Now, as you start building out this entire campaign and you add additional steps, you can, of course, use conditional logic to skip certain steps based on a conversation that you've had with your prospect or client. But for this example, I'll go ahead and save that template. Now I'll go ahead and start that workflow that I just created. Let's go ahead and relate that to Delilah Jones. Now we could see firsthand what this workflow would look like. Step one, prospect verification, provides me with an option to actually open up all of those details that were important to me. It's very important to know if Delilah has a nickname, if there's additional phone numbers that I should be aware of. I can verify that I have the information and move on to that next step. That next step here to make that initial phone call will again allow me to access some of those fields that I chose to include within this actual workflow step. So I could go through, take a look at those details. Once I have the information, I could go ahead and call the individual. This again will prompt you to use the click to call feature built into Wealthbox. We could choose the phone number that we would like to call and start that call right away. Now, moving on to the email step, the ability to email the individual from within the workflow with that template built in allows for you to not have to then find the template. You can have that template unique to that individual step without having to worry about it. You can, of course, use all the other benefits of Wealthbox Mail, such as email tracking. You could set a reminder if they don't respond to you in a certain amount of time, but I could easily now send this email and move on to the rest of my campaign. And that is how to use email and call drip campaigns in workflows.